Today we're going to talk about kind of the early stages of astronomy and all those sparkly things that you see up in the sky. Astronomy has been called the original science for good reason. Originally, man hunted by the moonlight. Josephus talked about the stars and the characters that he saw up there. Even early scientists changed astrologies and mythologies into a dedicated science so that they could understand what was up there better. All of the other disciplines that came out of that were to support astronomy and to study it. We're going to begin our tour of the solar system and the galaxies around us. We're going to begin our journey into the stars with your own backyard. The best thing about astronomy is it's an amateur science. Anybody can do it. All you need is your eyes. Before we go too much further, I want to talk about a frame of reference. We have the Earth, and you have all of these stars that you see from the Earth. So this thing is called the celestial sphere, and it's basically a ball or a globe of all of the stars that we see from any point on Earth. Now we only see half of the celestial sphere at any given time. So if you're standing right here, this is your night sky, and then this would be daytime. And then as the Earth goes around the sun, that line shifts. So these are your horizon points. Half of what we see is 180 degrees, and then half of that would be 90. So if you looked straight out at the horizon, and then you moved your eyes straight up directly above your head at the zenith, that would be 90 degrees. Now you could keep looking back past 90 degrees, but it's easier just to turn around and start over. For a frame of reference, if we had the moon, from our vantage point, this is about 1/2 of a degree. If we zoom in, I drew a couple of pictures. This is a kind of a flat view, so this would be the horizon that you're standing on, and this could be, you know, the direction you're looking in, so maybe north, right? Whatever direction you're looking. And then as you go up to the zenith, you have it's called a declination, and that goes from 0 to 90 degrees, and it helps us understand how high things are in the sky. So if I'm reading a star atlas and it says this star is located with a declination of 17 degrees, you would find 17 degrees from the horizon, and that's where your star or your cluster would be located. Over here is more of a top-down view. Okay, so if you were standing up here and looking straight down at me and you saw the whole world, you've got the north, east, south, west, never eat soggy waffles. And so this is kind of like a top-down view. And this is called right ascension. For our purposes, we aren't going to use hours and minutes. We'll just use compass or compass degrees as you go around. But the idea here is that for every star or constellation that you look at, you will have a declination and a right ascension to help you locate where that star is. And that's typically given for a certain time, day, and year. There are some helpful measurements when we're trying to figure out degrees. If you hold your hand out, the palm of your hand is about 10 degrees. If you were looking at one finger, that's about 1 degree. So if you wanted to know the distance, 1 degree, hold your hand out arm's length, and that's 1 degree. That'd be 2 degrees. That's 10, right? A couple other things, you know, typically if you're drawing a finger, right? It's a horrible finger, your nail, right? You got these different knuckles. This one here is often said to be 3 degrees, 4 degrees, and 6 degrees. So just kind of some tools you have on hand, right? You can help figure out where things are. Okay, you might see there are also some constellations that are helpful. the Big Dipper, for example. You know, most people know that these two stars here, the Big Dipper, will point to Polaris, which is the North Star. But what they might not know is that the distance between these two stars is 5 degrees. And so that will kind of help you kind of orient yourself to the sky, be able to find some stars and constellations, and hopefully get you outside and looking up with some purpose. If we go back to that celestial sphere picture, this sphere has been broken up into regions. So this region of space called the celestial spheres, all the stars and clusters that you can see, have been broken up into sections or groups of stars. Well, in Latin, that's constellations, and there's 88 of them. Okay, these constellations act as an address. Okay, so right now, actually, is a great time to see the Perseid meteor shower. It's located in the Perseus constellation, which is a little bit below Cassiopeia in the northeastern sky after midnight. The best time to view it would have been middle to late July, but because we just had a new moon, you can go out right now and still see them. And so what you would do is you would find the Perseus constellation, which would be this region of space, and Perseus, you know, has its own set of stars in there. I'm not saying the meteor shower is coming through that star cluster. I'm saying the meteor shower is coming through the region of space, you know, somewhere in that address book. Here's an example of Orion, pictured 3 different ways. So this first picture is what you would see if you looked up at the night sky. I think most people could probably pick out Orion. It's these cluster of stars. There's a very distinctive pattern. You see Orion all through the winter. And then here's a picture of Orion as the Greeks understood it. There's a story that goes along with it. You know, Orion's raising his club, or he's got a lion that he just killed. He's raising that up. He's the big hunter, right? And that's kind of a story behind it. And then now this last picture is the same constellation, but more scientific. That has a defined region of space, has clusters of other stars, other important things out there like galaxies and quasars and stuff like that. And so we've progressed from just what you see at night to some mythological pictures and depictions, and then now we're to the point we're looking at a region of space that's very useful in finding things. Now, when you look at these constellations, it's important to understand that the constellations aren't all geographically close together. A lot of these stars in a certain formation appear from our perspective as we look up at the celestial sphere in that flat background of stars. They look like they're all right next to each other, but in fact they could be in different galaxies altogether. Some of those stars might even be galaxies. And so it's a matter of perspective